Welcome to DABCC Radio,
where smart people listen.
Virtualization and Cloud Talk,
Featuring cutting-edge solutions from the hottest companies around the globe.
broadcasting from the DABCC offices in sunny Sarasota, Florida.
Surrounded by computers, books, and Legos.
A Microsoft MVP, Citrix Charter CTP, VMware vExpert.
And your host, Douglas Brown.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DABCC Radio. We have Citrix Ready podcast for you today. Quite excited about this. We have Xangati on the line with the Citrix Ready folks to talk about, this Xangati, what Xangati offers Citrix customers, and, of course, the Citrix Ready perspective and all that jazz. Just a good old conversation about what Xangati brings to our lives to make it better. Isn't that? That's DABCC Radio. Learn about how you can make your life better. That's my tagline. So, with no further ado, let's just jump into my interview with Xangati. I have Atchison, their CMO, and a really, really bright guy and great guy too. And then, of course, we have Anil back with us from Citrix Ready. So, with no further ado, let's just jump into my interview with Xangati and the Citrix Ready folks. Let's go around the table and introduce everybody. So, as always, my first question is, who are you and what do you do at your company? So, Atchison, who are you and what do you do over at Xangati?
So, thank you very much, Doug. Good morning. Good morning to your listeners. And thank you for having us on behalf of Citrix as well. We're delighted to participate. Xangati is a service assurance analytics software innovator out of Silicon Valley. We're backed by a fairly well-known venture capital firm called Highbar Ventures, which has a networking domain expertise, and also Citrix. And Citrix is a corporate investor in the company, primarily because Xangati is recognized as a best-in-class third-party monitoring solution for the end-to-end optimization of the Citrix environment, spanning Zen Server, Zen App, Zen Desktop, as well as Citrix NetScaler. So we're delighted to be part of the Citrix portfolio and the Citrix Ready program.
That's pretty impressive that Citrix actually invests in you guys. That's really shows commitment to the company and the solution, doesn't it?
Well, it is, and we were one of the first vendors to really show how the app flow protocol, for example, protocol analysis of app flow can feed into all of the other cross-silo intelligence data points that we capture and correlate in real time, and the granularity that we provide in terms of determining how best to optimize your Citrix environment, I think was a compelling reason as well.
That's awesome. Anil, who are you and what do you do over at Citrix?
Hey, Doug. Hey, Atchison. Good morning. I'm Anil Kumar. I'm part of Citrix Ready Technical Marketing Lead, leading the network and SaaS ecosystem. Citrix Ready is a technology partner program where we verify and recommend third-party products like Xangati, which shows compatibility with Citrix's products. And as a Citrix Ready technical marketing lead, I'm responsible for supporting partner companies like Xangati who are looking to integrate and validate their products with Citrix solutions. I have about 7 years of IT experience. Prior to Citrix, I've worked with Fujitsu and HP as a Citrix administrator, where I've had the opportunity to support some medium and large Citrix infrastructures for banking and finance sector companies. I've basically worked on most of the Citrix's core products, starting with Zen App, Zen Desktop, NetScaler, and recently Zen Mobile and CloudBridge. And I'm really proud of what we do here at Citrix. I'm also a Citrix certified professional for networking and mobility. And when I'm not working, I'm usually on a hike or I follow a lot of football. Manchester United is my favorite club.
Yes. Atchison, are you a soccer fan?
I'm a football fan, and when I'm not rooting for Chelsea, I follow Man U as well. So I think, Anil, I'll give you my sympathies right off the bat. I think we're having a tough year.
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully we'll win FA Cup.
I don't understand what you guys. It's
never
all
too
Greek
late
to me. It's all Greek. It's like we're talking about computers, and I'm not a techie. So, Atchison, real quick, can you tell us about Xangati? Can you give us a sort of 40,000 foot overview of, why you founded the company, why the company was founded, and what you guys are really trying to accomplish?
Sure. Like I was saying earlier, the company was really founded in the network security realm. Our founders indeed have a background in that particular aspect of the infrastructure. It started out as a physical appliance that managed and monitored your network performance, but as Citrix and VMware sort of ushered in the age of virtualization around 2010, 2009, the founders, including the CTO of the company, Jagan, who is still with the company, realized that performance management and optimization of virtual applications is really going to be more about than just the network piece. And by the way, in addition to Appflow, we're pulling all the other popular networking protocols, including NetFlow if you're a Cisco estate. And so the solution was morphed into a virtual appliance. We're pure software. We drop into your hypervisor of choice, preferably Zen server, as an open virtual file. And because we have an in-memory architecture and we don't require agents, we're populating that dashboard with hundreds of thousands of interactions literally within the first couple of hours of deployment. And certainly day 2, you're operating a high-performance virtualized infrastructure with Xangati. We recently made some significant announcements, which I'll talk about later, but we've now extended that visibility from your on-premise, your software-defined data center out to the cloud or containerization if you're implementing Docker.
That's great. So let's talk a bit about the Citrix Ready partnership, and so Atchison, what's it like to work with Citrix Ready? What value does that bring to Xangati? Things like that.
Well, we've actually been part of the program now, I think, for a couple of years, and for us, it's really important. We're a startup, small company. In reality, we are competing with very large, well-known, well-capitalized competitors, even VMware itself. And the leverage that we are able to access through the Citrix Ready program, our sponsorship of Citrix Summit earlier this year, our upcoming sponsorship of Citrix Synergy, and all of the co-marketing activities, in addition to a lot of the work that Anil and his team are doing to verify and certify our solutions as Citrix Ready, and our entire portfolio is indeed certified as Citrix Ready. All of that combines to make us very relevant to the Citrix ecosystem in terms of the field force, the Citrix field force, particularly the SEs and the professional services community, as well as the Citrix channel. So our go-to-market is certainly predicated on a market maker, a solution provider, a VAR systems integrator that has core competency in the Citrix technologies.
That sounds great. Anil, what was it like? I imagine you're the guy that helped verify these people. So can you talk a bit about Xangati and Citrix and of course, what you found during the verification process and things like that? Your little 2 cents on the deal?
Definitely. Yes, I was the one who verified a few products of Xangati, and I'm really proud that I did that. And Xangati have been our partners for a few years now, and they are at the premier level, which is the highest level in the Citrix Ready program. So I'll first talk about what we do at Citrix Ready. So So in the Citrix Ready verification process, we basically verify third-party products, and we ensure the compatibility with Citrix's technologies. And to make this work, we ensure that each and every Citrix Ready verified product undergoes detailed testing and verification. And this in turn helps our two technologies work in sync, and our customers can have smooth operation of their IT infrastructure. Now Xangati's infrastructure management and service assurance platform's ability to perform real-time second-by-second monitoring really helps Synapse, Zen Desktop, and the applications hosted on our Synapse servers to basically work with more efficiency and reduce the downtimes. And all of this is because Xangati's ability to quickly isolate the issue. I've seen it in a couple of demos during the verification, and it's really really cool and cool out to how it quickly isolates the issue. So one of the so during the verification of the demos was it was actually real time, where in a normal infrastructure without Xangati, if user has problems with let's say login issue, and throws some errors like login failed, please contact your help desk. And the user calls up the help desk, and the first thing the help desk guy does is to check his password and probably reset his password and ask the user to try again, but it really does not help. And the first level guy escalates the issue to second level, and there's a lot of delay during this process where the incident is picked up by the second level guy and isolates the issue. But with Xangati, user is able to quickly log a ticket with their online tool, and when the incident reaches the administrator, is able to quickly isolate the problem. And in this case, the problem was with the XML brokers, and Xangati was able to identify it immediately, and the problem was resolved in 5 to 10 minutes. And that's how intuitive Xangati's products are.
That's great. That's really, really great. So I imagine they just worked perfectly then. Any issues that you ran into?
No issues, but I was really impressed how quickly you can onboard Xangati into your infrastructure. Just install their virtual appliance, and it's basically going to detect each and every server, storage, and every component in your infrastructure, and give it some time, and it's going to monitor the issues right away. And moreover, it's agentless, which is not going to put any overhead on our Zen app or Zen Desktop servers, which is really a plus point.
You got it. It always amazes me. Yeah, it's a virtual appliance, as Atchison said. You pop it in, and away it goes. Within a few hours, within minutes, you start getting data. Within a few hours, you're getting really detailed data, and it just gets better and better and better. It's one of those things that you can try out and be like, wow, this is phenomenal. If you don't like it, you can just remove it. It's just a great little solution. Not little, great giant solution, right? So it's never called little. Come on, it's just little to config, which is a good thing. So it just works. So Atchison, what are some of the business problems you guys are trying to solve?
Well, I think Anil hit on one that is fairly persistent, and the majority of our deployments are in the virtual desktop infrastructure, VDI, or hosted virtual desktop arena. Again, I think going back to the notion of service assurance, there is a business value or business outcome metric associated with the lack of productivity, or the mean time to resolution, or the inability to see cross silo or even intra silo and pinpoint root cause. Root cause analysis is extremely important, and because of the granularity we provide, we're able to do that. In the case of Zen app and Zen Desktop, we actually have recently enhanced the solution so that we have something called a visual trouble ticket, which is in the scenario that Anil outlined. The end user could actually take a snapshot of exactly it's almost like a timestamp of the particular issue with lots of granularity in terms of what storefront you're accessing, the web interface, the login times, the reconnect times, a number of those kinds of metrics, which again you can tie back to service quality delivery. And in many cases, we're able to prove that if there is a degrading condition, the culpable factor often is not the app, i.e. Citrix. It could be conflict between storage latency, for example. And in addition to the protocol analysis, we're also pulling and correlating data from physical devices. So, for example, if you have EMC storage underpinning your virtual infrastructure, we can provide deep visibility into that environment as well.
That's very interesting. So visual trouble ticket. So you started to say an end user can take a picture of the screen. Right. Can you explain that process? What's this like?
Yeah. So if you are a Xangati licensee, you would have access to the visual trouble ticket portal, which is just it's a web page with a URL, and the end user himself or herself, if you are having degrading condition, can select in the case of XenApp, for example, you can select that as the virtual application you're using, and then there's a whole pull down menu of troubleshooting possibilities, and then it actually will capture the XenApp username, the URL that was being used, interaction with Citrix receiver, for example, if there's or some other thin client. In other words, oftentimes people say, well, I can't get to my desktop, or I can't get my app open, or it takes me too long to reopen my app. And you can have a situation like ServiceNow, for example, which is a Xangati partner. We're working very closely to actually automate a number of these kind of event management scenarios. But you could have a situation where you've flooded your service desk with false alarms, and without any idea or any visibility to the root cause. So this end user quality of experience, where we've enhanced the metrics and specific to XenApp, I think is a significant enhancement that our Citrix customers are really going to like.
Oh, absolutely. That's absolutely. Anil, did you test that out? How did you like it?
It was pretty amazing, actually, and I used to work as a Citrix administrator a couple of years ago, and I really wished we had Xangati in our infrastructure, because whenever because we had a lot of Citrix applications and VDIs hosted, and usually it's the mission critical applications hosted, and whenever there was an incident created. Maybe it's a login issue, or the slowness, or application not launching. It could be anything. And since the application or the desktop used to run on Citrix, the incident used to land in the Citrix administrator queue. And the regular drill where we had to log into all these servers, see where the problem is, do a small health check, and to finally know that there's no problem with the Citrix infrastructure. It's something else. It could be the storage. It could be the network itself. It could be some kind of backup failing. So the incident used to juggle around with different teams, and finally it could take hours before we would finally isolate the issue and fix the problem, which basically leaves the customers unhappy because of the downtime. But with Xangati, you can isolate the issue within minutes and resolve the problem, and that's what we were able to see during our demos and testing.
Very interesting. Atchison, you mentioned a few other announcements. You want to talk about any of those?
Yeah. So just quickly, let me run back through kind of our oversight of the Citrix environment, which as I mentioned is cross silo. So we're looking at everything from the ADC, that's a Citrix NetScaler, certainly the host, whether that's VMware, Hyper-V, or XenServer, the physical servers, the mobile devices that are accessing the virtual desktop or the virtual app, and web applications as well, by the way. So if you're looking to optimize e-commerce or even disaster recovery, we have a dashboard, or we call it now software module that looks at that. And so in April, what we did is we actually rebranded the platform ESP, as in we know what's going to happen before it happens, and we can predict, kind of keep the focus on the predictive analytics, particularly as you start to move your virtual applications in a hybrid cloud fashion. You move them off premise into some infrastructure as a service platform, and you want to be able to maintain in a multi-tiered shared infrastructure, even in a hyper-converged situation. Let's say running Nutanix under XenApp, we're a Nutanix Ready partner as well. So what we've added is how we treat VMs on premise in any of those hypervisors that I mentioned. We'll also provide the same level of metrics and performance data if you're running those apps in Amazon Web Services, AWS, Microsoft Azure, or in the containerization mode of the Docker flavor. So that was pretty significant. And then, as I mentioned as well, in addition to NetApp, if you're running EMC VNX in your environment, we can provide deeper intelligence into that physical environment. We've also added something, again, from our network management heritage. We call it an anomaly index. So there are a lot of data points out there in terms of your security intelligence and maintaining, a proper defensive posture, and quite frankly, nefarious activity or malicious activity can contribute to a performance issue. And so we while we're optimizing your environment for performance, we're also looking for things that are pattern anomalies that might suggest you are risk for a DDoS attack, for example. So we have that as a separate index in there. And then we also added a particularly important for the cloud workspace part of our solution. We added NVIDIA physical GPU support. So for your graphics intensive applications that you're running, we're able to provide performance metrics around that. The other thing, Doug, which I think is pretty significant, is we're sort of, if you think of two sides of the same coin, one side is the performance optimization. We provide, the analytics behind that, the root cause analysis, a storm tracker utility to help you avoid degrading conditions. But the flip side of that is how are my resources being utilized? Am I under-provisioned or I'm over-provisioned? And we also recently added what we call an efficiency index. We always provided you with capacity alerts, right? So you want to avoid saturation, but you want to have targeted capacity so you can grow your overhead if necessary. Now we're providing you with the flip side of that, which is, well, what about my IT infrastructure resources and their efficiency rate? if you're underutilized, then you have too much slack and you're probably wasting money. So we can show you exactly where you can do cost optimization. And if you're over provisioned, then perhaps over time with our machine learning and our heuristics capability, we're going to get very smart about your environment. We're going to be able to help you right size those investments. So with greater visibility, you don't necessarily need to just simply over provision your hardware without actually determining the root cause of your performance issues.
Very cool, very cool. Anil, which Citrix Ready or which Xangati products are verified? All of them, or are there specifics towards Citrix? How did that work for you guys?
We currently have about 6 products verified and available in Citrix Ready marketplace. So basically everything related to XenApp, XenDesktop, NetScaler, and we have a blueprint, a dashboard blueprint for Citrix Lifecycle Management, the Network Suite, the VDI Suite, the virtual App Suite, the Web Suite. So basically everything related to Citrix's products is already verified and available in Citrix Marketplace. And I'm really excited with the release of NetScaler CPX in a few months, and Xangati's ability to I think to monitor the containerized applications. I'm really excited how this would work and the verifications involved in it.
So Anil hit on one other thing that I think is really important, Doug, if I might, and that is kind of where we're headed with this solution, our long-term vision, and that's the ability to automate all of the quick fixes or the troubleshooting, the ability to move things around to optimize your IT efficiency. And Xangati was one of the first Citrix Ready partners actually to certify our solution for what they call CLM, which is essentially an orchestration platform. So today you can actually manage events that Xangati surfaces that are related to performance. You can manage that through the Citrix Lifecycle Management platform. You can deploy Xangati that way as well. But what's really cool is to be able to take a storm alert. I mentioned Storm Tracker, and the idea of productivity and mean time to resolution. Storm Tracker actually will cluster together all related contention issues that you might have and bubble that up to one kind of top level domain. You solve that through our Storm Tracker utility. The other 75 alerts go away. That's fairly unique in the marketplace. You're now able to send a message. You're now able to have assisted remediation, if you will, through that CLM platform. We're working on the same capability, by the way, with ServiceNow. So the idea of self-healing and self-optimizing in the cloud elasticity sense is certainly the long-term vision that we're very close to enabling with our solution.
Very, very cool. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, Atchison, you wanted to you had mentioned you want to share some customer success stories with us, and those are always interesting to see, how your customers are using the products and of course the value they're getting from us. So, what do you have for us? What can you tell us
Absolutely.
about some of your customers?
Absolutely, and really that's why we're here, right, is to serve our customers and help them solve specific problems. So I'm just going to hit on a couple of our more interesting Citrix environment customers and give you some of those highlights and invite Anil to chime in as necessary. But medical healthcare is certainly a key vertical for us, as it is for Citrix, and we were very happy to participate with Citrix at the recent HIMSS 16 event in Las Vegas. Doug, there were 50,000 healthcare IT folks milling around Las Vegas. So it's rather dangerous.
Wow.
But
it wasn't dangerous. They were healthcare people.
Right. But U.S. Army is an interesting one. They have a unit called MedCom, which is essentially the entire physicians and medical support for the U.S. Army. They run on a virtual desktop infrastructure, which is a Citrix environment. And Xangati was deployed in their solution. They had some issues with their ability to actually, because this is a very, very high volume of virtual desktop use. That's the other benefit of Xangati is we can scale because of the in-memory architecture. There's infinite scalability. I won't give you the exact number, but it's in the tens of thousands of users, as you can imagine, the number of medical professionals that require to support our military. U.S. CENTCOM, by the way, in your neck of the woods is one of our great customers as well. So that one was really cool because it's all about, seconds really do matter in that kind of environment. This is a Zen desktop deployment, and one of the things that we were able to show was how we reduced the login time from minutes to seconds. So if someone's life is on the line and you need to get to some critical information as a medical professional, you can't afford to wait 5 minutes, much less 1 minute. So being able to prove that we can get that down to a matter of seconds was extremely important. The other one is the largest. And so financial services, insurance is a big market for us as well. So our top two verticals. Clearly, healthcare, financial services, probably number 3 is public sector. And why is that? I think there's been an early adoption of virtual desktop infrastructure. One market driver clearly is the idea of control, from a security standpoint, from a compliance standpoint, from a performance standpoint. The notion of control is extremely important. Cost is always a driver. If you have 10,000 folks trying to book commercial insurance on physical devices that have to be maintained and updated, that there's a certain cost associated with that. So this company is called Sweat and Crawford. They're in the southeast in Georgia. They operate worldwide, of course. About $4 billion in premiums that they provide wholesale brokerage for. And again, Zen desktop solution, and in their view, it was a migration from the physical world to the virtual world. And how do I de-risk that? There's a lot of risk that certainly even from a change management standpoint, if people are used to having their own device and their own apps and maybe multiple devices and multiple apps. Some universities we get deployed and we find out there are 900, IaaS compute services being accessed. So managing your cloud sprawl, I think, will be increasingly important. But that's really what we were brought in to look at here in a Zen desktop environment with Sweat and Crawford. We're monitoring the end-to-end infrastructure. And, we're able to analyze all of their performance issues and ensure that they had a successful migration, if you will, off of the physical desktop. And just very quickly, 3 of my favorite customers. I cannot name the brand names, which unfortunately is common in the infrastructure space. I'm a network security guy from Cisco and Fortinet, so I can tell you it's very difficult even for those big companies to get a brand referenceability. But these are all billboard marquee logos. Xangati have 450 deployments worldwide, mostly in large enterprise. So the first one I want to highlight, it was a major healthcare institution. Again, a Zen desktop VDI deployment. What's interesting is if you're the VDI admin, you're not always sure what other applications have been deployed as VMs. That might be noisy neighbors or even shared resources, which is quite often the case, and whose app is being starved off in favor of another. In this case, Xangati was deployed, and we were able to show that it was actually a third-party application that had been implemented by someone else that was degrading the virtual apps that Zen Desktop was brokering. So we're able to isolate that and show best practices for how that should be treated and ensure that they had optimal performance. The next was a very large financial institution, 10,000 plus end users on a VDI Zen desktop deployment. And again, because we're looking at the physical infrastructure, the underlying physical infrastructure as well, we could see some conflict between their compute resources, their LDAP servers, and their network. Quite frequently, we find network misconfigurations, or even sometimes the virtual machine allocation of memory or CPU power is not quite optimized. So we were able to identify the root cause very quickly. A lot of this is really good for us too, in the sense that it improves customer sat and it helps us expand our footprint in terms of wallet share. So we're now actually monitoring this particular organization's disaster recovery virtualized services as well. And the last one is really probably my favorite of all time. It's a very large retail grocer. I'm sure you certainly on the East Coast, growing up in Kentucky, I would know it very well. And they actually were running a loyalty app on a mobile device for the checkout lines, which was, again, a combination of Zen app and Zen desktop. And at a particular time, usually in the late afternoon, there was so much degrading performance in that app that really wasn't accessible by their customers, and they weren't able to offer on-demand real-time offers as those customers were trying to move through the checkout line. So Xangati, that we have a DVR-like capability. So we're recording while we're optimizing your environment. We're actually recording everything that we do as well. So you can't sit, if you're a Zen app, Zen desktop admin, you can't sit behind, a monitoring console 24 hours a day, and we certainly wouldn't ask you to do that. That's why we built in this capability, Doug. You can go back at a point in time and run kind of a slide scale through that and see exactly where the degrading conditions are. Double click down into that, and then we'll pop up a very detailed prescriptive remedial action with the root cause analysis. And that's exactly what we did here. We help. Again, that's a great service assurance analytics data point as well, is being able to help this particular retailer get people through the checkout line faster while they're offering them a discount or incentive on a particular item.
That sounds great, and I totally agree with you about the drill down capabilities. You see something that looks fishy, and you can just start drilling until you find the problem. It's phenomenal what you guys have done. It's just so easy. It's intuitive is the word for it, right?
Well, the thing is, I think one of the key things too that I should have mentioned, which again we do, the first thing that Xangati, the virtual appliance, does when you drop it in the hypervisor is it does I would call it asset discovery. So we discover all of the virtual objects in the hypervisor and all the physical assets connected to the hypervisor, the apps, the end users, everything. It's kind of like a grid. If you think of CAD CAM, when you're designing an automobile or manufacturing, that kind of 3D grid, we create that and establish the interdependencies between all of those assets. That's the key thing that we do from the outset. Then we overlay that with this root cause analysis storm tracker utility, and that's how you're able to double and triple click down into kind of a string of data associated, in the case of VDI, associated with a specific user, to be able to pinpoint exactly where that degradation is happening rather than having to go silo by silo by silo and waste days, if not weeks, trying to figure that out.
Makes sense. Perfect. Anil, anything to add there?
Yes, definitely. As Atch mentioned, the customers are. Citrix solutions are used in over 400,000 organizations now, and across all industry verticals, I have to say. And and with Xangati's ability to quickly to be able to quickly install into your infrastructure and quickly start monitoring and provide both proactive and reactive analysis. It's really it becomes very easy for the customers to embrace the VDI and bring your own devices kind of concept into their environment. The reason is with Xangati, it's very easy to isolate where the problem is. As Atch was mentioning, Xangati is going to point out where the problem is. For example, if a customer is or an end user is trying to launch an application from home through the access gateway, Xangati has the ability to tell if the problem is from the client to the gateway or from the gateway to the servers, which basically reduces the troubleshooting by half in just seconds.
Sounds good. So, my next question is a staple for the Citrix Ready podcast, and that is, why Xangati and Citrix? So, and we've talked about that a lot throughout this podcast already, but I'll throw it at you directly as a question. So, Atchison, why Citrix and Xangati?
Yeah, I will say, first of all, that we are focused on the Citrix environment. We have been for several years. We're certainly a domain expert in Citrix environments. And we have core competency in how to optimize your Citrix deployments. And, time to value is extremely important for all organizations. So our ability to provide business critical performance data that's agentless, live and continuous, it's second by second. We're giving you that end-to-end and cross-silo intelligence that scales very rapidly across your software-defined data centers, as well as your hybrid clouds through an in-memory architecture. And long-term, we're going to help you with your resource balancing and cost optimization. All of those are really important to the Citrix customer as well. And from my mind, it is a perfect fit to deploy Xangati alongside any of the Citrix virtual desktop infrastructure solutions, as well as the virtual infrastructure solutions.
Perfect. Anil, anything to add there? Why Citrix and Xangati?
I completely agree with Atchison, and as I already mentioned, Citrix has a huge base of customers spread across all the industry verticals, and Xangati really helps all these customers to really. If they have Xangati installed, they can really make sure that their underlying Citrix infrastructure works really fine. And Xangati's ability to monitor applications and desktops, no matter where they are, probably on premise and in your private cloud or hybrid, and no matter on what device you're using it. We really want Citrix customers to embrace Xangati's management and monitoring solution in their environment, and reduce the downtimes and improve the customer satisfaction.
That's great. Well, that's about everything. So, guys, Atchison, anything I left out? Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
Just one final thing, and that would be to invite you and all of your listeners to, if you're attending Citrix Energy in Las Vegas in a couple of weeks, to please come and visit Xangati. We are one of the sponsors. We'll be part of the Solutions Expo, and we'll have live demos running throughout the conference.
That was the last thing on my list was synergy, just the word synergy.
Yep.
So I was going to ask you about that. You guys are going to be there. Do you know? So that's wonderful. Definitely, guys listening, check out the Xangati stuff. The audio podcasts are difficult, right? Because we're trying to explain technology and do that from a high level without pictures. And we talked a bit about their capabilities to really drill down deep into the problems, right? Into what your network's actually doing at any point in time too. And this is something you really got to see. So if you're at Synergy, head over to the booth. But also, you don't wait. Head over to their YouTube channel also, and there's tons of videos, and of course their website too. So Xangati.com.
And the best way to get started with us, I think you mentioned as well, is we do offer a 14-day free trial. It's a fully function version of the software. We'll also offer 1 hour of data analysis, so we can discover exactly what Xangati can do to help optimize your Citrix environment. So that's available on our website, Xangati.com. And certainly invite folks to give it a test drive.
That's perfect. Well, guys, I think that's a podcast. So let's go ahead and conclude this thing. I'll go ahead and say thank you very much. And if there's any last words, Atchison, I think you said yours. Come visit us. Come check it out. Anil, anything from you?
Yes, definitely. We are also organizing the Citrix Ready Summit to all our Citrix Ready partners like Xangati and others. So, Atchison, we hope to see you there.
Oh, Citrix Ready.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Citrix Ready Summit. This sounds fun.
That's right.
We need you there, though, Greg, Doug, to make it really.
I'm a fun guy. I don't know about that. I'm a computer nerd. I like to sit and play with my computer. Okay, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today. We'll go ahead and call this a show. So thanks again.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Atchison.
Okie dokie. That concludes another episode of DABCC Radio. As always, I want to thank my guest for today, Atchison from good old Xangati, and of course Anil from the Citrix Ready group over at Citrix. And thanks, guys, so much for making this happen. And I really enjoyed it. And I wasn't joking. Xangati is just great software. So guys listening, guys and gals listening, definitely check it out. It's amazing what you can do. You can pop it in your environment, just a VM, download it, provision it, and hour later, look at some really cool stats. So I think you guys will really, really love it. Great stuff. Xangati, Xangati. Xangati. I think I'm spelling that right. I would never win a spelling contest, to tell you that much. I can type it. I can write it. But saying it out loud are two different things for me. So what do I say? Definitely check it out. On that note, Synergy is around the corner. I hope you guys are attending. If you are, definitely let me know. And I'd love to meet you or see you again. And I'll be at Synergy as always. It's one of those events I never miss. I don't think I have a choice, to be honest with you. But my choice would be to attend. It's like a high school reunion, a college reunion, whatever you want to say. It's just a lot of fun. It's like a childhood reunion, going back to my childhood and seeing all the guys I grew up with. So just instead of growing up from child, I grew up as an engineer and whatever I do nowadays. So old friends, new friends, great stuff. And of course, Citrix Technologies. See what's new with Citrix. They've gone through a lot of changes, so it'll be awesome to see what's new and get really excited and all that jazz. On that note, guys, thank you as always for listening to DABCC Radio. Definitely head over to the brand new DABCC.com. I think you guys are really going to love it. It is super beautiful, super fast, and just really easy to use and powerful. So I think you guys are going to love it. www.dabcc.com for the latest IT news. It's not just virtualization cloud, it's all of IT. Storage, cloud, desktops, mobility, security, virtualization, you name it, it's all there. Desktop. Well, it's there too. On that note, guys, thank you for listening to the ABCC Radio.
Can you say DABCC?
DABC.
Say it again, DABCC.
DABC.
Can you say it again, DABCC?
DABC.
How about DABCC?
DABBC.
DABCC.
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 DABCC.